So a lot of Detroit Lions fans want particular players when it comes to the pass rusher position. Now, there's a guy I've been talking about a long time, made a video over 6 months ago when he wanted to be traded from his current team, the Cincinnati Bengals. His name is Trey Hendrickson. The Cincinnati Bengals may not want to part with him. That's the thing. They're that one team that always thinks they have a chance. And right now they do. They do. They could easily be, no wins. They could easily have more wins than they do. But right now they sit at 3-5. Joe Burrow said that they can win. He believes they could win 7 of the next 9, which will put them at 10-7. But will that be enough to get them into the playoffs? The NFL did something which is super cool. They've got the percentages of teams that can make the playoffs. And the reason that we're doing this video is to see if Trey Hendrickson could be available as we get closer to the trade deadline. Is that what Brad Holmes is waiting on? Maybe there is a deal in place, or maybe he's looking at Zadarius Smith and others, but maybe he wants to just hold on just a little while longer because he will have 2 days after the games on Sunday to make his final decision. Could he be waiting to see what happens with the Cincinnati Bengals? Now, this is where it gets interesting. Over the past 5 years, the Cincinnati Bengals are that team. They start slow, they finish strong. They're having a tough time this year. One of the reasons is because they don't have DJ Reader, in my opinion. Their defense is not what it used to be. And Trey Hendrickson is basically the best player on their defense right now. So if the Cincinnati Bengals, they got a real tough decision to make because he wanted to be traded. His value is going to decrease every single game. Then they'll be stuck with him if they don't move him at the trade deadline. And then next year, he'll be on an expiring contract. So, or they could just keep him, hold him hostage, franchise tag him, and keep him for the next 2 years. Or they could extend him. He wants an extension. They didn't give it to him. I feel like it could be a little bit of bad blood there that they were willing to, they didn't honor his needs or his wants. So maybe they do ship him out and try to get what they can for him in the meantime. But let's take a look at the current standings for the Cincinnati, for the NFL playoffs. Now, you're Detroit Lions, first seed, which is super cool. I think that this is going to be this is going to be the Super Bowl. It's going to be Chiefs, Lions. I think it's going to be either the Texans are going to upset the Chiefs or the Lions are going to beat them in the Super Bowl. It's going to be one or the other. But this will be a matchup, too, because neither team has been to the Super Bowl. So after this, it would only be 2 teams, the Browns and Jags, that have never been to a Super Bowl, which would be crazy. It's going to be weird when it go down, because eventually it's going to go down from 4 to 2, and then those 2 fan bases have to deal with that. All right, so let's go and see where are the Cincinnati Bengals. Here's where it gets kind of sticky, right? If they lose, right now they sit at 3-5, as we discussed earlier. If they lose, their current playoff probability is 28%. Look at this. It only goes up 5% with the win, but if they lose, it drops 13%. Goes from 28 to 15. This is when they'll have to make that decision. So shout out to the NFL for giving us this graphic. I think this is a big deal. Now, can they run the table? This is just a percentage based off whatever math they're using, right? 15% if they lose. They do play the Raiders, who have 0%. They're done. They don't really have 0%, but they're done. Why did they? What is this about? I actually love this logo. I'm not a fan of the colors, though. But I love this guy with the pirate and the dagger in his mouth. Super cool. Now, here's where it gets sticky if you're the Detroit Lions and you want Trey, and if you're the Cincinnati Bengals and you might want to ship Trey or keep Trey. This is their remaining schedule. It is very AFC North heavy. That'd be crazy if Trey went from the AFC North to the NFC North. All right. But just got blew back by the Eagles. This game here, this might be the deal breaker, but then again, it might not. Right. So now we go to after this game. Now it's the trade deadline. So let's say you win this game. Now you're 4-5. You don't move Trey. Here you go. Right. So then you have the Baltimore Ravens. They beat you. Shouldn't have beat you, but they beat you earlier in the year. So let's say you win this game, you go to 4-5. Now you lose this game, you go to 4-6. Then you got the Chargers. That could go either way. Let's give you that game. Let's say you go to 5-6, your bye week. So you come out of your bye week, down the home stretch. You are 5-6. you are playing the Pittsburgh Steelers and you are at home. This game could go either way. The Pittsburgh Steelers, man, they play teams hard. So put it in the comment section. Should we give them this win? They either can be 6-6 at this point or 5-7. The Dallas Cowboys, they probably will win that game. So now you're talking about, see what I see, I'm seeing 500. This is a win. So now you're talking Cleveland Browns. I don't know. They play teams tough. Denver Broncos, and then they end with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So it could come down to a thing where this team is looking to get into the playoffs. So at this point, for me, it is a decision of whether or not the Cincinnati Bengals, feel like they can go all the way, because you got to think about it. Right now, they are out of the playoffs. So before we do that, let's go back and look at the playoff picture. What teams are they realistically going to unseat if they don't win the division? All right. So let's give the division to the Chiefs, the Texans, the Steelers, and the Bills. Okay. Could they played the Broncos? I thought I saw the Broncos on here. They play them. So the Broncos, the Ravens, the Chargers. If they could go on a run and unseat all of these teams. So that's the thing. If they lose, though, and they're 3-6, they could be tempted to trade Trey Hendrickson. So I think if they would have lost one of these games, like and been sitting at 2-6 right now instead of 3-5, I think no matter what happens this game, I think 3-6 they move on, because that it's going to come down to one game, and it might come down to the Broncos game. I mean, right now they still have to play the Pittsburgh Steelers twice. So right now they're in play for the division. So I don't know. So it depends. I think it's going to come down to whether or not really the Bengals want to recoup as much as possible for Trey, because they will not get as much as they will get this year if they wait till next year. So let me know your thoughts down in the comments below.